All right, let's talk clinical nutrition. You've seen it on the floor, right? One patient's on a clear liquid diet, another's on a cardiac diet. Why? Well, today we're building your clinical nutrition toolkit. This is the stuff you absolutely need to know, not just to ace your exams, but to be a confident nurse at the bedside.
So, here's the game plan. We're going to kick things off with the body's building blocks, then get into how to actually assess nutritional status. From there, we'll look at the healthy eating blueprint, and then this is the really cool part. We'll dive into nutrition as medicine, and we'll wrap up with some special nutritional needs. Okay, let's get into it.
First things first, let's meet the heavy hitters in our nutritional toolkit, the macronutrients.
Okay, first up, carbs. And you see that number? 4. 4 kilocalories per gram. You've got to lock this one in your brain. It's a classic exam question, a total must-know. Next, we've got fats. And whoa, look at that jump, 9 kilocalories per gram. This is our most energy-dense fuel source. I mean, it's more than double what carbs give you. That's why they're so great for long-term energy storage.
In rounding out the trio, we have protein. It's right back there with carbs at 4 kilocalories per gram. So remember the magic numbers, 4, 9, 4. Seriously, drill this into your memory. You will see it again.
So, it's not just about the calories, right? Each of these macros has a totally different job. Carbs, they're the preferred fuel for your brain. It's what keeps you sharp. Protein, on the other hand, is all about building and repairing. It's literally the construction crew for your body.
Okay, so we've got the macros. Now let's talk micros. And this is a super important distinction. You've got your fat-soluble vitamins. Think A, D, E, and K. The body holds on to these, storing them in fat. The danger there, well, they can build up and actually become toxic. But then you've got the water-soluble ones, like B and C. Your body just takes what it needs and flushes the rest out. So if you take too much, it's just going to end up in your urine. This is a huge teaching point when your patients ask about taking tons of vitamins.
All right, so we know our tools, but how do we figure out if there's a problem in the first place? How do we diagnose a nutritional issue? Well, you guessed it, we look at the labs. These labs, they're like a window into your patient's nutritional health. You've got your CBC, electrolytes, BUN, and then you've got the big two for protein status, albumin and prealbumin. Here's how you keep them straight. Albumin is like a history book. It gives you the long-term story, right? We're talking weeks. Prealbumin, that's more like today's newspaper. It gives you a snapshot of what's happening right now, in the last couple of days. It's a much more immediate picture.
Okay, so before we start customizing diet plans for specific diseases, we got to know what the standard plan even is. What's the baseline?
So what does that look like? I mean, what's the blueprint for a healthy diet?
And here it is, the MyPlate model from the USDA. It's brilliant because it's so simple, right? It's a perfect visual guide for a balanced diet. Super easy to explain to patients.
And when you're doing patient teaching, these are your go-to points. Keep it simple and actionable. You know, half your plate fruits and veggies. At least half your grains should be whole grains. Drink water, not sugary junk. These little rules are what actually stick with people and help them build healthier habits.
All right, now we're getting to the heart of clinical nutrition. This is where we start using food as medicine, customizing the plan to treat specific conditions.
You're going to hear this phrase a million times in the hospital. Advance the diet as tolerated. Well, this is what it looks like. We start slow, with something like a clear liquid diet to give the gut a rest. Then we move to full liquids, maybe some pudding or milk. And then finally, to a mechanical soft diet if they have trouble chewing. It's all about gently waking up the GI system as the patient gets better.
Okay, let's break down the renal diet. To get this, you have to think about the why. It's all about the pathophysiology. If the kidneys aren't working right, they can't get rid of waste products from protein, like urea. They can't manage fluid balance, so we restrict sodium and fluids. And they can't filter out extra potassium, which can be super dangerous. So every single restriction on this diet is there for a reason, to prevent a toxic buildup of stuff the kidneys just can't handle anymore.
Now for the heart. A key part of the cardiac diet is something called the DASH diet, and that name tells you exactly what it's for: dietary approaches to stop hypertension. Its whole goal is to fight back against high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and obesity, all the big risk factors for heart disease.
So, what's on the limit list for a cardiac diet? You've got your usual suspects: sodium, saturated fat, red meat, and all those sugary foods and drinks. Why? Because these are the things that clog arteries, raise blood pressure, and just generally put a ton of strain on the heart. Limiting them is one of the best ways to protect it.
Okay, last section. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Because our nutritional toolkit can't be one size fits all. We have to adapt it to the specific person in front of us.
Think about it. Nutritional needs are a moving target throughout our entire lives. What an infant needs is completely different from what a teenager needs, which is different from an older adult. For infants, it's all about breast milk or formula. For adolescents, they need a ton of energy and calcium. And for older adults, their metabolism slows down and even their sense of taste and thirst can change. So as nurses, we have to keep adjusting our approach.
Let's clear this up because it's super important to know the difference. You have your lacto-ovo-vegetarians who eat plant-based foods plus dairy and eggs. But then you have vegans who consume only plant-based foods, no animal products at all. And this is where we have to be really careful. Vegan diets can be very healthy, but they carry a real risk for certain deficiencies, especially vitamin B12. B12 is almost only found in animal products. So if you have a vegan patient, you have to be talking to them about B12 supplementation. It's a huge safety and teaching point.
And this brings us to what I think is the real art of nursing. You can have the most perfect, evidence-based diet plan in the world, but if your patient won't follow it, it's useless. The best plan is the one that works for them, the one that respects their culture, their tastes, their life. So the final tool in your toolkit isn't a diet plan, it's empathy. It's about seeing the whole person, not just the disease.